Greetings, fellow songwriters and seekers, and welcome back to Muse Measure. If you haven't done so yet, hit the little guy on the Lotus pedal. We're really getting some wonderful questions from people, and my mind is being expanded. My songwriting practice is being enhanced by it, so I want you to benefit from that as well. So this is from Bill in Fort Collins, asking a question about chord progressions. So when you're refining a chord progression, how do you decide whether to strengthen it with functional harmony, like clearer dominant tonic movement, or destabilize it with modal mixture or unexpected substitutions? What tells you the song needs one rather than the other? Well, that's a very good question, and I wish there was just a quick answer to that. I think it's all case by case. One thing I can tell you, though, that if the melody is moving in a way that is conventional or just along the lines of the scale, then I try to make my chords a little bit more interesting. And the opposite is also true. So if I have a melody that's very disjunctive and jumping all over the place, then I'll probably want to stick to functional harmony. So they kind of balance each other out so that they make sure that it just doesn't tip over. So if the melody goes way out there, then the chords are going to be much more anchored so that this doesn't fly off and flop around. And the opposite is true, that if my melody is pretty well anchored to the scale and not jumping around a whole bunch, then my chords can be out there, so it's not too heavy and predictable. So let me just demonstrate a little bit about that. So I've got this melody that I've talked about in other videos that came to me just one day as I was cleaning, and it goes, okay. So that's pretty standard melody. It's on the scale, just going down the scale. And then it jumps. But there's not very many jumps. It's just basically running up in the scale with a couple jumps to different sections, but then it sticks to the scale. So this would be an instance where, originally I had da 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 da, and that just sounded too folky to me. Not that I don't love folk music, I love folk music. And sometimes that's what it's called for. So if you have a folk sentiment that you're trying to express, then by all means stick to your 1-4-5. But in this case, I wanted it to be a little bit more interesting. So I had this melody, So I wanted it to be, the chord progression slightly more interesting because the melody was pretty much sticking to that, the just jumping around the scale a little bit, basically going up and down the scale with just a couple leaps. Okay, so I just decided to start on the 2, 3, 1, 4. Okay, not too radical there, but it gets a little bit weird here. Then it goes to a flat 7, then a 3 but majored, and then back to 1, but then back up to 3 majored. Okay, so all of a sudden you have some kind of weird, unexpected chords going on underneath. So that kind of balances the kind of predictable, much more scale-driven and stepwise motion of the melody. So if I have a wacky melody, maybe something like this, I will pick chords that are a little bit more stable. Okay, so I'm not going to be jumping all over the place because that melody is already jumping all over the place and doing kind of weird things that almost sound like they're completely dissonant. So boom boom bam boom boom bam. So boom boom bam boom boom bam boom boom bam boom boom bam. So there I'm just going from the 1 to the 5. I also could do a 4. Boom boom bam boom boom bam boom boom bam. I like that better, actually. So that's what I mean by, with the chord progressions that you choose, just look at what you're doing with your melody and try to balance it so that when you're going really crazy with your melody, you're doing something kind of unexpected, that most of the time you want to ground that in more traditional, diatonic chords and not borrow chords from some other key. Because it's already disorienting and maybe slightly alienating for these melodies to go off course so much. And then the opposite is true when you have a melody that's pretty close to, just going up and down the scale, maybe playing up the arpeggios, then you can be more free with your chord progressions. And there's a third case where when you have a melody that's doing kind of strange things, but it calls for the chords to follow along with it and to join along so that it can help support this. Now, usually this would be a transitional part of a song, maybe a pre-chorus or a bridge. It's not going to be something that is your standard thing that you're repeating over and over again. It's like you're moving into something new. Maybe a whole different section of music, like a coda, or if you have your verse, chorus, and then you have a bridge, then you're going something weird. Maybe you're doing a modulation into some other last section, or you have a coda that you're building up into. Then, both can go into these weird zones. Or just they develop together. They develop in tandem. So, it's just like, in any type of relationship, when one person is off kilter and acting weird, then the other person feels they have to be a little bit more stable. And that's the same way. The chords and the melodies are good friends, and they are going to counteract each other just to keep balance, to keep some kind of balance in the music. So the weirder a melody is, the more straight a chord progression is. The weirder the chord progression, the straighter the melody should be. Unless they both decide it's time to get weird. All right. Well, I hope that helps with your approach to chord progressions. If I didn't answer your question completely, or if you have follow-up questions, please put them down in the comments below, or please share your experience with this issue of when to borrow chords and when not to. All right. Best of luck with your songwriting, your chord progressions, and your spiritual practice. I'll see you next time on Muse Measure. Take care.